Da minha casa, não sei. Treinar. Eu vou fazer um pastel.
bem, mas a ideia é dar um jeitinho para não estar a ocupar tanto espaço, se queira vir mais gente na quinta.
O quê? Eu acho que é melhor começar, não é?
Acho que sim.
São 7h20.
Mas já está bastante gente. Se quiser sentar.
Okay, guys. So, guys, we'll great to see you guys again. I always tell that. Oh, there's no need, but yeah. So, hi YouTube. Guys, thank you for coming again. We're so happy to see you guys again. So, the same face over and over. It's awesome building this community. And the new faces for everyone, welcome. So the first thing that I want to say is like thank you for Emergn for having us. So clap. It's really important the companies that help us building the community. I think that without them we don't have even a place. So it's really important to say thank you. So today it's our sixth meetup. We're so happy. We're growing each day. So thank you for you guys. Thanks uh, for being here. And let's share some expertise. So I think Marta will talk a little bit about Emergn. I think it's important to you guys, maybe a job in the future. And that's it. Thank you.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for being here. We have been doing some quarterly meetups here at the office for a while now because we like to get in touch with the community and also, I don't know, share some experiences, some tech knowledge. That's why we invite some people of our team to share a topic that they like or that they're experts in, and to get to know you as well, of course, and see if some possibilities for the future open up, like a job opportunity or a partnership opportunity, or even just more knowledge sharing in the future. So I'm just going to talk to you a bit about Emergn, just a briefly presentation so you get to know us better. Have you heard of us before, or is this the first time? Okay. Good. So brand new audience. So we are a business, a digital firm, digital services firm. So what we do is a bit similar to consulting, but we do it a bit differently. So we have this approach that we call "We Think, We Build, We Train, You Thrive," and basically that's because we do three things. We think, we work with companies for their strategy, whatever that means in terms of their goals or a problem that they are trying to solve. We build because we build software, of course, and other digital solutions that might be needed. We train because we train teams. Basically, what we do is that we have teams, emergent teams that work with our clients' teams, and they train them along the way so they can thrive after we're gone. So we want to leave them with the tools, with the methods, and everything they need to own their own digital transformation or their goals. A bit about us as a company. So we were born in 2009, but we only came to Portugal in 2020. We are more than 500 globally, and we already have 14 offices, but we actually have people from around the world that are working as contractors or clients from other places as well. This is some of our clients. I will show you a bit more, but there's no need to go in detail. We work with several industries. We don't have a specific industry we work with. So this is what we do. This is what we offer, as I told you before, within these capabilities. And these are also our teams. For example, we offer data and analytics, so we have a data and analytics practice. We offer experience design, so we have a product design practice. Diego, who we have here today on our behalf, is from the JavaScript practice, for example. So we have these global practices that usually are made by people from different countries. We work fully remote, so yeah, our teams are pretty spread. You can see here the countries we work in. This is not client countries. This is where we have teams. Our two main developing centers are Portugal and Riga in Latvia. And these are some just some of our clients. I just put it here so you could see if you see some familiar logos and just get to know that we do work with every industry. So this is us in the day of the opening of this office, which was already 2 years ago. Yeah, and this is the team. As I told you before, we have a fully remote work mode. Um, some people like to come to the office, so that's why we have the space, and also for these moments, of course. But yeah, that's pretty much it. We are 70 by now, but we will keep growing. So I put here, oh, this is just a bit of a curiosity about our culture. I put here 3 ways we give back, just so you know that we invest a lot of on well-being, as any other company that tries to stand out these days, right? So we do a lot of team moments. That's why we have the office for as well. We invest a lot in learning as well, internal professional opportunities, and so on. And these are some of our open opportunities. Don't feel pressured, but in case in the future you might be looking for a place, we might be a good match. And if you want to keep up with the meetups that we have in the future, or job opportunities or insights that we share, simply you can follow us on LinkedIn. That's our main platform for knowledge sharing. So that's it. I hope that you enjoy your meetup. Now I'll pass on the word to Diego. Thank you.
Good evening. Um, well, let's do that then. Um, I will talk about a bit how to structure your React projects and how to organize your things and so on. So let's start with myself. Hi, my name is Diego. I've been working in the field since 2012. Worked with PHP initially and jQuery. Um, saw lots of technologies like, for example, AngularJS. Worked a bit with Angular 2 and Angular 8, more or less. And yeah, also I am Rails lover. I like so much to work with Rails and full stack stuff. But yeah, lately here in Emergn, I have been work as JavaScript developer, focused in React, and but lately I moved to another client called SAP. I have been working on Fiori elements components team based in Germany, and yeah, I think that's mostly it. And yeah, let's talk a bit about my practice. Here in Emergn, we have lots of different stacks. We work with Nest, Express, Angular, React, Vue.js, and so on. Also, we have the teams based in Portugal, Latvia, Romania, Armenia, Germany, India, and so on. Yeah. Um, and the agenda for this meeting will be we'll talk about directory structure, the single responsibility principle, how to apply the single responsibility in React components, and I will show a small example how we can apply it on our project. So yeah, so why is this important? Why you structure your React project directory well? How you can prove your project using that? Uh, you can work with if you have a team, a large team, for example, and you have this kind of thing well structured, will be easy to onboard new employees, new developers to work that on that, and also the project scalability will be easier to achieve. If the best thing would be the maintenance. So you will improve also your maintenance there. So the approach that I will start to show will be grouping your file by types, but I don't like so much this kind of approach because when, yeah, I will talk a bit about, but yeah, we have here the a directory called components where you can put your components inside of that. Also, for example, this example here, we have the hooks directory and whatever, configs and APIs, assets, and so on. But we have here some, yeah, I would suggest to use that in small to medium projects, but um, the disadvantages of that will be, if you have, for example, um, a large size of components inside of the same structure here, for example, in components, if you start to add more and more components, it will be a mess to maintain. So I wouldn't suggest that in cases of, for example, um, a large size or something like that. But yeah, if it will, disadvantages will be you will inflate quickly and become hard to maintain. No separation of business concerns, which is another thing that I think it's a pain when we work with React. And once the project increases, it's harder to change to a different kind of approach, which I will show after that. So yeah, initially when you start to work with a simple project, a project that small components or even a mono app or something like that, I think there is no problem if you have a small size of components or whatever. So this case, yeah, go for it. But yeah, this kind of approach here, we have different. It's basically using more or less the same structure, but inside, for example, the components, we have the types or features. In this case, for example, I can show here the authorization, which has all the authorization components. Um, but yeah, in this case, we have also some small to large. We can use it for sure. Simple to implement and whatever. But yeah, the trick part, at least in my opinion, will be to define what is the features. At least in my past projects, I saw this kind of approach there, but it wasn't so simple to understand what is the feature. Sometimes we can see this as for example, a user form or something like that, but there are some um, things that it's not so clear to understand in this case. So at least for me, I you know I can see at least this example. It's okay to have a auth and all the components about the authorization, but in some contexts, it's hard to define what is a feature or whatever, or and at least for me, it was the pain so far. And but yeah, we can also grouping our components this way and put um, lots of components inside of the same directory. But in the end, if we have also lots of components inside of the same directory, we will have uh, a thing that is not so easy to maintain in the long term. So yeah, but yeah, we have here it's simple, straightforward, but yeah, we have these things grouped by features or types or whatever, and but it's it's a thing that at least for the perspective of the development, when we are starting to work in a project like using this kind of approach, it's hard to define what is a feature. So to create a new directory and structure the things there. So yeah, sorry, the disadvantages, the logic related to a feature is still spread across multiple folder types. So that's the what I was saying before. We have lots of directories there, and yeah, it's in the midterm, I think small to medium project it works well, but if you have a large project, I think can be we have the disadvantages about that. So yeah, and the latest one is the features and modules grouped. I saw this approach for the first time in the Angular 2 Plus. We have this kind of thing there where we can group the things, use the same structure. For example, if we have a user, or at least in this example, we have the payment there. The payment, we have the components, hooks, all about that module we group inside of this directory. Well, I I never seen that in the React project. I would like to see, but lately, in the latest projects, I saw more this kind of thing here, there, this one here. But yeah, I would like to share also, because we can use the modules approach to try to split the slice of the application this way. I think for the large projects it works, at least on my side, my point of view. So yeah, the project size we have here, large and complex, I think it's clear to understand. And yeah, we have representations of objects in the real world, so we can use the DDD, for example, or something like that. And yeah, so yeah, the disadvantage is you have the well aware of business logic, so to make the right grouping decisions. Well, the same thing that I told before. Um, we have um, the the same question. What is a feature? So here I would say, what is a module? So can we group everything about, for example, the users management inside of the users, or can we split it? You know, so yeah, it's a bit tricky, but yeah. And let's start about talking about this solid stuff here, single responsibility. So yeah, solid. It's just to contextualize a bit. Solid, we have five. It's a kind of pattern slash. I would say it's a. We can tell it's a pattern that we can organize our code. We can use to make our code more maintainable, stuff like this. And yeah, it's mostly used in uh, object-oriented programming. And we, in this case, I will talk about only about the single responsibility, which is the S of solid. So yeah, it's most used in the oriented program, object-oriented world. So and it consists in only set for example, in the object-oriented world, we have classes, but in React we have the functional programming. It's a different approach. Anyway, so we have the class, and that class needs to have only one responsibility. So this way we don't we can't you know mix the responsibilities of that and make its more harder to maintain. So yeah, we need to ensure that we don't add responsibilities that don't belong to the current context. So we need to pay attention to that. The more responsibilities your class holds, the more often you need to change it. So we have this kind of um, trick part, yeah, there using the mixing the responsibilities only one place. Yeah, and we have, for example, this example that I will bring here. Let's imagine an entity called orders, and inside of this entity we have some responsibilities. For example, in this case, I added some, a grouping of products, shipment information, and the amount value. So if, for example, if you want to convert the amount to a different concurrence, um, it means that it's not the responsibility of the orders entity. We need to, split this in another thing, in another part, so we can um, keep the orders entity clear to maintain and to avoid the multi responsibility at the same entity. So we can see, for example, we can see that this operation can be used in different situations, and even if in other entities but orders, for example, we can use this kind of conversion in other places of our application. So this way we can see that the converter, the amount converter, it's not part of the the orders entity. So yeah, it's basically this. And this way the orders entity must hold its responsibilities, which is grouping the product orders, holding the shipment details, and holding the order amount. This example, we have this here, and the converter, we can create another class or function, whatever, that holds only this responsibility. This way, we don't need to, mix the, we don't, we can avoid the mix of responsibilities into orders entity. So yeah, having said that, we have more or less an idea about the single responsibility. So how can we apply that this in React world? So yeah, single responsibility. For example, here we have the React. Basically, we have a presenter layer. Says you can render some HTML inside of the React component, but also we can hold on other things inside of that. So we have API calls, for example, state management, and even more things if we are using another kind of another libraries. We can use another stuff inside of that. So this way we can create different layers, so we can keep the React component more pure this way, and split this in different functions in this case, because you are using functional programming, right? And we are not using class here. So yeah, let me show you what I prepared here. I have this code here. For example, we can see a class, not a class, a component that we are here using counter, for example, which is basically a simple component. We are using um, increment button, and we are calling this one, increasing the counter, which starts with 0, but we are increasing +1 on each click. Um, Here we have that, right? And we have also to-do list. It's very common to see that in, in a project. So also here, this use effect here are fetching the data from an open API here. In this case, it's JSON placeholder JS API. So we are fetching that and we are setting this to the to-do list here, and we are doing the loop, right? So here we are mixing two things. We are mixing, for example, the counter, right? We are using the counter here, but we are also listing something. This way we are, mixing some contexts here. We can, this way we can, I created a new directory structure here. Here I have only one component, but I created here another directory with also components and hooks that I created. And here we can see, for example, it's custom hooks with the responsibilities. We can use this use fetch to do list, which is this one. We have a custom hook that is responsible to only fetch the to do list here and returning that. And we have also the use increment here, and we are using both at our component. This, yeah, we are splitting the responsibilities in this case. There are other ways also to do the same thing. We could also include the HTML, for example, and only calling the component here and here. But in this case, I would like to only holding the data. So this way we can use the data as we want. So yeah, this is the use case that I like to share. So initially we had all the things at the same level at the component stuff. So when we have this kind of thing here, for example, we have this, but it's a small component, right? We don't have a lot of complexity here. But once it gets to, increase and more, I think, yeah, I got some components with 4,000 lines, and yeah, it was really difficult to maintain. So we had lots of use states, and it's approach that we can avoid. So yeah, I would suggest that. So yeah, this way we have the two custom hooks, which holds the code for each stuff. So we have the use fetch to do list and the use increment. So this way we split the application into different parts, and yeah, this way it's more clear, I would say, in terms of organization. So yeah, let me get back to the presentation here. So I was, that's just a second, because yeah, I was here, right? And yeah, that's mostly it. Is there any questions and thing that you guys want to ask, whatever?
Or if, yeah, maybe
Yeah.
not a question, but I find super useful when I go to a project or something. Also, deployment. Sorry. When I go through a project code or something, it's super useful. A part of the structure of the directories to have a README. So you can have like for each directory, you can have like the feature you want to have in each directory and then have a README. So when you make your code public or you want to share with someone, I think it's super useful to have like a one README with all the directory structure like a common. I think
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
I think that it's super useful to have.
Yeah, for sure, for
From the
sure.
directory approach.
For sure, this. Okay.
Any other question then? Thoughts? Shared? Okay.
I have a question. And how would you organize the context? I saw that you put like states.
Mm-hmm.
The context API, when you would you use it in the states directory?
This case, I
Or use
when
like
yeah,
providers?
usually I create context uh, directory there, but lately I was using Zustand and Redux, but we have more. It's a bit different from that, but yeah, I create a context, and inside of the context, I create some a directory for the provider, and the context itself in the root, so we can share across the application, more or less like that. But we have when we start to working on project, we get some, well, sometimes it's a bit messy, at least on my point of view, but when we have this kind of freedom to change the things, I think, yeah, it's great to have this kind of directory for the context inside of the context directory, and we, the things that we, if you want to create more than one context, which is very common, right? We can split it in also context, the name of the context in another directory. So inside of that, we can put the provider and the context itself. So I am more or less like that, at least. What I, but it's it's up to us, It's no, at least it's what I yeah, what I do. So yeah, I think that's it, right? Yeah. Okay. Oh, you can.
Thank you for presentation. I have a feedback.
Okay.
Basically, I like the file name. I like that you don't have indexes. I'm not sure if
Yeah.
you have index TX6, but
Mm-hmm.
even in case when file name is the same with component name, it's super simple.
Exactly. It is.
And maybe another thing just to share. On my project, we are using the first and the third approach to structure directories. So basically, we started with like grouping them by types, like modules, models, sorry, controllers, whatever. But then we realized that we would like to plug some features that should be owned by separate teams. So it works nice when the core part is like structured by type of the entity, and here is the, let's say, feature folders that basically mimics the same structure. It's also grouped by the feature, but inside it's split into models.
Yeah, nice. Cool. Cool.
Is it normal for every project? I start a lot of projects. Every project has a different structure. Like I work in a company with a lot of projects, for my medium and large scale. So I make a project with a big scale about a lot of modules, make asset management with a lot of modules. So I use this structure in all my, even if it's a small project, I use the same modules, and one project is one module. Is it right, or every project I have to make a new structure, even if it takes a lot of time, make a POC? So is the right way to make one structure and do a lot of projects, or every project I have to make special structure reliable to this project?
So, well, I think it depends on at least in my point of view, it depends on the project. For example, if you work with micro front ends, something like that, I think, at least in my point of view, I I like the most this approach here. Let me show. I think, yeah, this one, right? Let me see. Yeah, this approach here, the modules one. But as we don't have any kind of pattern defined, because it's up to you to use this kind of thing. So I think it varies, depends on. I would suggest to discuss with the team what would be the best approach. So bring this kind of structure to the team, discuss, and choose one of them or create your own solution. So I think for me, as we have, for example, the last project that I worked, it's they used more or less the kind of DDD stuff, but we don't have the components hooks. It's all the files were inside of the same level. It was, we needed to command P everywhere and find the name of the file. It was, well, but it varies. For me, I think it's a thing that we need to discuss as a team and find a way. I brought back then these three approaches here, but I couldn't, change anything. There are lots of files to change. It's hard to change it. Uh, sorry, quickly. So yeah, I think my suggestion is try to have a conversation with the team. So I think what works for us maybe not works for the others. So yeah, but at least my perspective, I like the most the module one, but yeah, I think it's up to the team also. Hmm. Well, we have also for example, my current project, they have a kind of mono repo. It's a micro front end stuff. You can, for example, split it in different teams. A team can be responsible to a module, which is, you know, um, it can have its own package JSON and all the dependencies inside of that, and you can import it on your main project, and then I think the most, at least what I've been seeing lately is mono repos and the people splitting the things in um, in each mono repo, and then we can import it on our current or our main project and using their components. So yeah, but the file structure is up to you. You can use whatever you want, but yeah, at least from my point of view, I would go uh, to the monohapos approach and use this kind of thing importing on our um, project. So yeah, that's it. Hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure, for sure, for sure. Yeah, it happens a lot, and there is no silver bullets, right? Exactly, exactly. But yeah, there are some solutions, but also one more one more time is up to the team to choose the the best approach. So, but usually we don't have, I would say, this kind of freedom, right? Because we have the projects already running production and so on, and it's difficult to move to another kind of file structure approach or whatever. But if we start from the scratch, I think it's really good to have this following some file structures patterns like that, or yeah.
So thank you, Diego.
Just it was my first as a speaker, speaking in English. It was my first presentation speaking English. I hope you have enjoyed that. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you.
Guys, 5 minutes hold for set up. We get back. You guys want to do that? Just 5 minutes.
O áudio tá funcionando? Não. Tá? Ok, obrigado.
So guys, I will not talk a lot. Just like let's go start again. Thank you, Macabeus, for the second speak that he gave for us on the top. So let's go because we don't have so much time.
Okay, so I'm sorry for the delay. Okay. Okay, so let's start the second talk for the night. I'm Macabeus, and let's talk about the Fluent language, a localization system for natural sound translations. And you are all probably wondering about a language for localization. Do we need it? And yes, we need it. And during this talk, I will show why Fluent is an amazing solution for this challenge. But first, let's start with a history about a project, okay? You are developing a new product. And for the first moment, you need to focus just a single market. So let's start with just Portuguese. So you can write all the message in the JavaScript code and use it won't be an issue, right? You can change it later. But the second iteration, we need to look for new markets. Now we need to support a second language. Now we need to support English. So, okay, I can extract all the messages from JavaScript, move it to a JSON file, and use it to localize the project. So, okay, we have some issues because there are some gaps between the grammar for Portuguese and the English, but it can work well so far. But now there is a new version. Now we have a lot of success in China, and you support a new language. You support Mandarin. But come on, you have a lot of issues to support Mandarin, English, and Portuguese, and make all the localization using just JSON file because the grammar are very different, have a lot of gaps between the messages. And if you are developing a project for the beginning to the end, and you are sure it will need only a single language, only English, for instance, a proper localization system can still be useful even in this very simple case. And please, if I start to localize your project, don't use JSON file because it can become a mess in very short term. But okay, before I talk about the technical side, let's talk about the subject you are start to work on. Let's talk about the languages, because the language, there's a lot of variations, is a lot of diversity inside of each language. And let's talk about another history. You are creating a system to manage a stocks, and we need to show how many pencils there are in the stock. So in the very first version, it supports only Portuguese. So you can have this JSON file, and you can get the message from the JSON, use a function like this one, and you replace the amount with the proper number. But now you need to support English. And note the following. In the English version for this message in this JSON, there are two variants, one message for plural and another message for singular. And you need to update the code. Now you need to update the amount to check the amount to get the singular or the plural version. But because of this change, now you need to update the JSON for the Portuguese version because you need to map the keys. And note that the keys need a symmetric files for each language. It's a very important thing to symmetric, okay? And after the change, you need to update the Portuguese version by duplicate the code, just to map the keys. And they are work so far. But now I need to think one more language. Now I need to support French. And there is one detail in French because 0 is singular. So you need to update the condition to check if the language is French and the amount is 0 or 1 to get the singular version, otherwise get the plural version. But it starts to become a mess, right? And it become a mess if you add Polish, because in Polish you have the pound count numbers, and you have one word for a few, for example, less than 4, and another word if it's many, like more than 4. And I don't know how to write this code. It's a mess, and it's very complex. And if you are starting only if English and you are sure you need only English, let's say that you need to write a model like this one, dialogue like this one, that shows the a list of the files you are going to delete. You can use a workaround like this one, but come on, it's ugly. You want to have a beautiful messages. And to have beautiful message, you need to have a long JSON file. There is no file, so show no file to delete. There is one file. So do you want to remove this file? There are two files. Do you want to remove both files, or otherwise, do you want to delete this 3, 4, 5 files? But to have beautiful messages, you need to have a very complex code with a lot of conditions. We can make it better. And I was talking about numbers, but there are issues about gender, articles, grammatical case, politeness, and so on. So there are many details, many holes within each language, and you need to map those holes in your code. But how to do it in scalable way? If you are adding support for a new language, you don't need to think about the other language that you have inside of your project. So one way is use the XLIFF. In short, it's a XML schema that aggregates many localization messages. It is or was pretty popular, and the first version is from 2001. You can notice that it's a very verbose, so you normally don't write this file by hand. You normally use a tool that generates this code. I won't talk so much about this schema. I mentioned it because it's one of the Fluent inspirations. Another Fluent inspiration is the ICO message format. It's a very simple but very powerful. You have one code like this one that receives some parameters to output a message. So a single message can generate many variants. But for the ICO message format, you have just a single message. In a real project, you are going to have thousands of messages. You need to create a bundle. And to create one bundle, you can use a schema like arb that uses to aggregate in JSON file many ICO message formats. So it's from Google, so it's popular in some of the Google projects. For example, in Flutter, arb is popular, and you have some advantage by using JSON. For example, JSON is a popular and standard format, so there's a lot of tooling that works well with JSON, and you can use it for arb as well. But there are some disadvantages. For example, don't have comments in JSON, and it can become verbose. And another issue is because it's hard to have code reuse using JSON files. And you can make it better by using Fluent. This blog post is announced the first stable release for Fluent, and I want to highlight some of the parts of it. Start from the beginning. You can see that Fluent is a Mozilla language. It was developed aiming to solve Mozilla issues, but the same issue that Mozilla has, we also have, so you can take advantage of it. And the issue that Mozilla was trying to solve is because they need support almost 100 languages, and the Firefox face many localization challenges. Challenges like the one that I was explaining at the beginning of the talk, but for 100 languages. Think about 100 Polish languages, a lot of issues to solve. So, and okay, and they note that there are many grammatical and variations that don't map one-to-one between the languages. And they note that one very simple but powerful idea is have asymmetric localization, and the most important thing behind Fluent, asymmetric localization. That's, for example, let's say need support Japanese, English, and Polish. When you are working the message for the Japanese, you don't need to think about the message for English or Polish. We think one about Japanese because Fluent creates a layer that abstracts your code in JavaScript to the bundle files for each language. For example, in Japanese, you can have a very simple message if you know Japanese, and that has this that it don't have plural, okay? Because you are going to show how many tabs you are going to close. And in Japanese, you just need to show this message. In English, it's a bit more complex because you have plural. But okay, you write the message in English, and you don't need to update the message for Japanese. And you also support Polish, because in Polish you have one, few, and many variants, but you don't need to update English or Japanese. From the JS side, you just pass the key of the message and the amount as a parameter, and you work out of the box. There is this said about Fluent syntax guide. The syntax for Fluent is very simple. You can read everything in 15 minutes. Even a no developer can work very well with the syntax. And I'm going to highlight some of the parts from this blog post. Oh, from this website. So to write a message is the syntax, the key of the message, equal, and the text of the message. I will explain in a few more slides the JS code. You just want to have a quick view. And you can also have variables. Is used if you want to interpolate the messages. For example, to show the username. And we also have selectors that useful if a message can have many variants. For example, in English, you have just welcome and the name of the user. In Portuguese, you have some variants depending on the gender of the user. So you can have one gender for female, male, and the other. And you just pass the string with the key of the variant. And each selector needs to have one default variant. You define it by using the star at the beginning. And you can also use selectors to work with some grammatical detail. For example, the articles from English are very different from the articles from Portuguese. And you can use the select to make it work well for each language. You can also use selectors to work with numbers. For example, in Polish, we have one, few, and many. And in the JS side, or in your client side, when you create the bundle for the language, you set the code of the language. PL means Polish, and Fluent, you check the Unicode table, how this language is defined. And they know that, the number 1 is in the first category, so you get the first variant. The number 2 is in the second category, the category as few, so you get the second variant. And the 5 is in the category many, so you get the last variant. And it works out of the box, you don't need to think about it. And Fluent also support code reuse. For example, to reference another message, it useful in cases like this one, that you have one tooltip and to get the name of the menu. And it also has fit for attributes. I will explain more detail about how attribute works, but in short, it's useful when you want to get one message to get all the messages. For example, you need to get the placeholder and the title and area label for input. And it also has functions that use, for example, to format numbers. And you have comments. For example, you can define a comment for the license of this file. You can have one comment defining the goal of this file, and you can aggregate the messages using comments. And you can also have comments explain the variables for one of the messages. It's very useful to make it very clear. And Fluent is just the format and the language. We need a client to consume it in your project. Mozilla offers official support for Python, Rush, of course, and JavaScript. And for this talk, I'm going to use JavaScript as a baseline. And I have many packages, including Fluent Bundle and Fluent React. These are developed and maintained by Mozilla, and we have community packages. For example, I18Next, that it isn't Fluent first, but it supports Fluent as extension. In Fluent Bundle, you are going to use it normally if you are using Node.js or developing a new library for a new framework. And at the beginning, you need to import the Fluent Bundle and the localization file. Next, you create an instance for Fluent resource and one instance for the Fluent Bundle, passing the code of the language, and add the resource inside of the bundle. After that, you can start to get the messages, pass the key, and format that to print. In Fluent React, the first thing is define the context provider. Okay, the code is a bit long, but it just should get the language that the user defines inside the browser or the preference, and pass it to context provider. You can check the full code. Use this link below of the slide. It's a real project, okay? It's a production project. And after define the context provider, you can start to use the messages. For example, you can get the localized component. You pass in the ID prop the key of the message from the Fluent, and is going to replace the children with the message. And another case is that if there is another component inside of localized, for example, this 83, it's going to replace the children of the next component. Another case is that if you have variables for your message, you use a prop start by dollar and the name of the variable. So you're going to replace it inside of the message to use it on the selector. If you have interpolation with another component, you are going to use the elements prop. And it's one of the example about use the attributes. So we don't want to replace the children of button. Instead, we want to replace the title prop from button. So use the attributes title as true, and it's going to get the title attribute from Fluent. So it's going to replace the title. It's one example about use attributes and the root message at the same time. It's also possible if you want to replace the title from button and the children of button at the same time. And if you can't use localized component, for example, if you want to print a alert, you can use the hook, use localization, and get the message imperatively. Okay? And we also have React i18x. That's another package that supports Fluent as extension. And the API is very, very different. This one prefer to use user translation hook, while in Fluent React, they prefer to use the localized component. This one has another idea. They prefer using hooks. You get the T function from user translator, and they get the messages by this way. And in the edge case that you need to have interpolation from another components, use the trans component. And this one of the example. You are probably wondering about, oh, should I use the package from Mozilla or should I use this community package? I was studying this topic and I saw one project that was migrated from i18x to the Fluent bundle from Mozilla. And I asked why they migrated, and they answered that's because the package from Mozilla has better support for attributes, because the attributes is very specific for Fluent, and the generic libraries won't work very well in specific features from Fluent. And of course, there's a lot of implementations from other languages. There's implementation from .NET, for Elm, from Perl 6, Vue.js, MUse1 from Svelte. And okay, who is using Fluent? Mozilla, of course. And you can even see this website that shows the progress to migrate all the localized systems to Fluent. You can check that they are grow very well. And if you work with Rust, maybe you know this full stack web framework called the Poem, and they're using Fluent as a standard solution to localizations. And we also have very different projects. For example, there's this game made using .NET, and they use Fluent to localize the game and work in many, many languages. And you have a lot of projects using Fluent.js, you have projects using Fluent Vue, Fluent.net, and so on. And furthermore, if you want to have a taste about how to use Fluent very quickly, you can check this website, fluentproject.org/play. It's an online playground to check about how it works, the syntax. It's a very nice introduction. And if you work in a very big company that has one dedicated team just to localizations, you can use this open source platform from Mozilla that is useful to empower no developers in the translation flow, and it supports very well Fluent. And I have one personal project called the Fluent TypeScript that it aims to translate the Fluent files to TypeScript types, so it's useful to have autocomplete and highlight if you are missing to pass some variables, and also useful, oh, I remove this message in the localization file so I can delete this code, and so on. And I like VS Code, so I made the VS Code extension to work with Fluent. It's a full feature extension. I even know that some Mozilla guys use my extension, so it's very nice. And it has syntax highlight and go to definition, and it also shows syntax errors on the fly. And a nice feature is this code action extract to Fluent files. You can select a string, and run this code action. You can type the name of the group that this message is going to be added. You pass you write the key of the new message, and it's going to replace the code as defined to call the localization function, for example, and it updates all the French files with this new message. So it's very useful to quickly translate one project to add the localization. I was talking about my technical personal projects. I also have one community project called the GambiConf. My t-shirt is about this event, by the way. And this event aims to talk about things about computer that you normally don't talk in a technical event, like personal projects or crazy ideas and out of the box talks. For example, you have one talk about hacking satellite communication. You have one talk about write a Game Boy compiler using Fort, or show that font files are totally complete and they can hack your computer. And it's a very nice event. You can check this QR code to open YouTube channel. And this website about GambiConf uses Fluent, by the way. And that's all. Follow me on Twitter, GitHub, in my website with another talks. Okay, thank you. Bye. Any questions? No questions? Okay. Okay. Uh, you don't need it because you can use a selector. So I want to use plural, singular, just use selectors. You don't need to have imperative conditions. The selector itself is a condition, is a switch case. Okay.
Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
One more thing about the localization is adapting visual interface for different sizes and especially for different directions. Because some languages is left to right and right to left. And even Mandarin, if I'm not mistaken, they're using top down, left, right, if I'm not mistaken. So because of that, they use some sites that support these languages need to kind of revert the scroll order from top down to left to right because it's like different direction.
Yes.
Is it possible to somehow adapt CSS this?
Fluent. Well, we like this subject. Okay, I know how to explain. Fluent is focused on the localization side. This one that we're going to talk is about internationalization. So it's a bit more, not only change the message itself, but change the whole website to support the director, etc. So I know that I did work in this part, but Fluent has some support about the left to right, the right to left. Okay, and about the change about the responsivity, about the direct of the message, etc. It's not the scope of Fluent. Okay. Ah, yes. Okay. Thank you.
Cool, thank you. So guys, quick word. Let's finish the fight. Thank you for coming. I think thank you Maccabeus again for the talk. I think we should what I think yeah, but no one. Yeah, no. I just want to say happy holidays for everyone. Thank you for the year. It was awesome, and hope that see you guys next year too. So that's it.